it's time for the big Trivandrum battle, and joined here at the Trivandrum Central with none other than the BJP candidate, Union MOS Rajeev Chandrasekhar. Rajeev, final stretch, absolutely last day of campaigning going on.
Last but one.
Last but one. Tell me, what are the thoughts in your mind? Because this is a big prestige battle in this prestige constituency.
Well, I'm not so sure of the prestige battle, but it is a battle nevertheless. It's a three-way fight between the CPI and the Congress and the BJP NDA. And it's a battle not so much about people as much as it's about the future of Trivandrum. And I have made it very clear from the 4th of March when I first came here, after my candidature was announced, that Trivandrum over the last 15 to 20 years has had very little to show in terms of progress and development, and I intend to change that, and that is my candidature. So I am extremely happy today that the people of Trivandrum are responding to the message of change. They certainly want more and more development and prosperity and jobs and skills and investment, and they want to certainly shrug away the last 20-25 years of rhetoric, unfulfilled promises, and really get somebody who can deliver.
You know, Shashi Tharoor's kind of building a campaign that you don't know what work has happened in the last 15 years in Trivandrum because you haven't been here.
Yeah, that's fine. I think Tharoor is entitled to his opinion and his wisdom and his make-believe world that he is simply a genius or whatever it is that he wants to. It's the people of Trivandrum that will decide. Has the MP done what he is supposed to have done or not? I don't have to say anything. You don't have to say anything. It is the people of a constituency at the time of every election that will decide whether an MP has lived up to the trust that the people have placed in him.
Yeah.
And I will suggest to you today, and it will be vindicated on the day of the election, that he certainly has been given 3 opportunities by the people of Trivandrum. Not 1, not 2, 3 opportunities. And today Trivandrum remains highest unemployment. 37% of the college seats are vacant. There is no investment worth the name coming here. There are no jobs being created here. And if somebody still wants to pretend that things are hunky-dory, more power to him.
They say you're an outsider.
Look, I am an outsider to the classic politics of the UDF and the LDF. I am an outsider. I do not believe in making promises and running away. I do not believe in fear-mongering. I do not believe in appeasement. I believe in doing real work. I don't believe in giving myself titles of the global citizen and India's most admired man and the most genius man. I don't believe in all that. I am a doer. I have come here to do something, and therefore from the day one I said, Ini karyam nadakam, which means now the work will start. I am very happy to be an outsider to Shashi Tharoor and Panyan Ravindran, which is in all ways I am very different from them. I am 180 degrees diametrically opposite to what Tharoor and the Congress stands for. I am extremely different from what Panyan Ravindran and the failed policies of the left stand for.
But has it taken a little bit of time for you to get to know the constituents? Because you've done most of your politics in Karnataka so far.
Look, I have worked very intensely from day one. You know me, that I am not a person who will sit around and wait for things to happen. I went length and breadth of this constituency, and today if I have the confidence of issuing a set of promises and a commitment that I will undertake for the next 5 years, it is because I have listened to the people. I have heard what problems they have had for the last 10-15 years that remain unsolved. So there is certainly a large number of problems that have remained unaddressed for 10-15 years, that have become big problems, and there are many areas of potential for Trivandrum that have been unexplored and untapped.
Before I come to the potential in your vision document on unemployment, for example, on the education central institutes or even state institutes, for example, you know, the Congress and the left say, but you are in center for the last 10 years. So what do you have to show for employment? You're skill development minister, MOS.
Yes, in the sense that we have created 21 crore new jobs in India. We are building the largest factories, electronic manufacturing factories are being built in India. Mobile phones that used to be imported under the UP are being manufactured and exported from India. In case the headline hasn't reached these two gentlemen, they should pull up the Google and check what has happened to India in the last 10 years. This is an ostrich in the sand, because we don't want to acknowledge the development in the last 10 years. We want to pretend and live in this make-believe world that Karl Marx still is relevant and Rahul Gandhi is relevant. It may be relevant to Shashi Tharoor and Panyan Ravindran, but to the rest of the country that is moving ahead, they are irrelevant. And in Trivandrum, it is all about breaking the shackles and taking the foot that is being placed on the brake of development by a combination of two parties that are indie partners.
Yes.
Understand, these two are not different partners. These are parties that are sitting and having chai and samosa day in and day out in Delhi and talking about how bad Narendra Modi ji is and how bad the BJP is. If BJP is so bad, how come we are the fastest growing economy in the world? How come we are creating so many jobs? How come we are creating record investment? How come the world looks at India today as a global power? That they don't have answers. Oh, what have you done for Trivandrum? Now what is that? Long list you want me to give for what Prime Minister Narendra Modi has done? I'll tell you. 9.9 lakhs PM Ayushman cards in Trivandrum district. 24,800 PM Awas Yojana homes. 4 lakh homes that have been given Jal Jeevan mission because of PM Jal Jeevan. So if they ask a question, they should be ready to take the answer. But saying something and scooting and hiding behind this sheen of spin is not politics. People of Trivandrum don't want this anymore. The global citizen has run its course. People want real work. Nobody is bothered about how many presidents you met and what dictionary size you have. People want to know what have you done in the last 15 years. Stick to the fact. And if you put in your 66-page document every scheme of the government of India and say, I did it, I did the national highway, then I suggest that you put Chandrayaan also in it. You put INS Vikrant also in it. Because that is all done by Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
Interesting you mentioned Karl Marx and Rahul Gandhi in the same breath.
Yeah.
Because the biggest thing being talked about of the Congress manifesto today is wealth redistribution.
It shows you and it proves without any ambiguity that the CPM and the Congress are two sides of the same coin, both politically and ideologically. In the year 2024, we are living in a world where the youth want opportunities, they want entrepreneurship, they want to create startups, they are going to contribute to global economy, they are going to contribute to the future of the world of innovation. Can you imagine somebody talking about redistribution of wealth? That concept went out of fashion after Stalin died and after USSR was split and was buried Karl Marx's ideology. China doesn't do it anymore. Now Rahul Gandhi wants to bring redistribution of wealth. My suggestion is strongly the following. After these elections, like that Swamiji who went and found a country called Kailasa, independent country, Rahul Gandhi should discover an island. He should make all of these redistribution of wealth policies there. Take Shashi Tharoor and make him foreign minister and there will be global citizen and redistribution of wealth in one same island.
They do say that we have not said redistribution. This is what you are reading into it. We want to distribute India's resources equally, especially amongst the lower classes or the marginalized and the weak. And the BJP, others, particularly...
The Congress, when caught in its duplicity, lies, will always now try and spin itself out of the problem. Oh, we did not say redistribution. We did not use the word we used the word distribution.
They say we haven't talked about Muslims either.
No, I'm talking about redistribution of it. I'm not getting into the religious aspect of it. We are talking about redistribution. The reason there is a suspicion is because they are the ones under Prime Minister Manmohan Singh who created the issue of redistribution of the national resources. Today's India is about people being given the opportunity to succeed through skills, through education, through credit, through capital. And those who work hard should succeed more. Those who need help should get help. It is not about one man sitting on top and saying, I will decide who should get what distribution. Is this the world that we live in? This is 2024. This is not circa 1917.
But what about the fact that they say that the BJP stands for Hindutva, it's a North India party, stands for
why should you
against minorities?
Look,
and in Kerala, that politics doesn't
I
work.
have a simple point of view. Why are you believing that these people and what they say are character references or certificates of authenticity? These are people today in Trivandrum. I say with all authority. Both Panyan Ravindran and Shashi Tharoor have had not one idea that they have put forth that will improve the lives of people. Not one idea. They have talked about Manipur, fiction. They have talked about beef ban, fiction. They have talked about CA taking away rights, fiction, lies. Not fiction, lies. Not one point have they said about I will improve the travel conditions of those who struggle every day on suburban trains. I will improve the lives of people who are living in Trivandrum's colonies that don't have water, that don't have solid waste management. That I will basically make sure that the fishing community that have been for 6 or 7 years living on the edge of deprivation, I will solve their problems. No. Their entire political discourse is around creating these imaginary conversations. BJP is Vargiyavadi, BJP is communal. Last 10 years under Narendra Modi ji, there has been peace, amity, and absolutely not one scheme has discriminated on the basis of religion, caste, or gender. Point out, these are people clinging on to a failed narrative that is increasingly failing and disappearing.
What about your vision document? What stands out, if you could tell us?
No, this vision document is started with me saying on 4th of March, based on my understanding of Trivandrum, that nothing is working in Trivandrum. And I said, Ini karyam nadakam, which means things will work here. Then the question came, what should be the work? And we ran a whole crowdsourcing, citizen sourcing effort called What is Endana Karyam? What is the work? And we got a whole bunch of suggestions from people, existing problems that remain unsolved, and new ideas to unleash the potential of Trivandrum. And we have tabulated that into a whole document, and more importantly, made sure that this is not a city-centric development plan. This is covering rural Trivandrum, Parashala, as much as it is covering Trivandrum city. This is truly what we call Samagra Vikasanam, which is inclusive development of the city and its people. It addresses the farmers, it addresses the fishing community, it addresses the techies, it addresses the pensioners, it addresses the old people and the poor.
Shashi Tharoor says that you promise things that an MP cannot do.
Okay, he can't do it. He should admit he can't do it. That's fine.
The state government will not let you do a lot of things like land acquisition.
That is the difference between Shashi Tharoor and me, or anybody in the Congress and anybody in the BJP. We today, when we publish a manifesto, 99% of what we say, we do. That is what you see in 2014 manifesto, 2019 manifesto. We deliver on what we say. These parties are the ones who said Garibi Hatao for the last 65 years. Where did Garibi go? Garibi didn't go anywhere. It took Narendra Modi ji to have 25 crore people come out of poverty. There is a difference. There is a difference between the BJP and the Congress. There is a stark difference between me and Shashi Tharoor. He doesn't believe things are doable. He believes that the role of an MP stops with writing letters and raising 3 questions in Parliament. My perspective is that my role starts with when I see a problem and ends when the problem is solved.
What do you make of this left Congress fight? Is that benefiting you, or is
it is the biggest,
you out of the competition?
It is the biggest political drama since Shakespeare wrote Romeo and Juliet. It is a love story that is pretending to be full of hate. It is a drama. There is a clear understanding between the Congress and the left. And I don't have evidence to prove it, but my thinking is that they have decided that the state government and the state legislature will be the CPM and the central parliament will be Congress. There is absolutely no doubt.
No, but
nowhere outside Kerala is the left and the Congress not in alliance. Okay, so let us be clear. Right across the border from here in Tamil Nadu, they are in alliance. Right across the border from here north, Karnataka, they are in alliance. Right across the border in Andhra and Telangana, they are in alliance. So, are they thinking the people of Trivandrum and Kerala are fools to believe that they are not in alliance?
But the left is primarily targeting the Congress. They are targeting Rahul Gandhi's candidature.
That is the last 2 days. That is the last 2 days. This campaign has been going on for the last 40 days. They know things are slipping out of their control. They are now desperate in a battle for the Muslim vote. They are now both playing the game that the Congress played in Telangana with the BRS. First, they tried to say that the Congress tried to say that the left is in alliance with the BJP. That did not work. They used me to make that case. That did not work. Now they are trying to make a case between the two of them, saying that they are fighting with each other. There's an interesting joke that came out on WhatsApp yesterday that said if Rahul Gandhi is so keen to send Pinarayi Vijayan to jail, then vote for Modi.
But apart from that shadow boxing, what that's doing is it's telling the public that you are not in the competition. It's effectively a competition between the left and the Congress.
That's what they would like to. They would like people to believe. I am not only in the competition, not because of me, because of what values I espouse, what the vision that I'm promising to the people of Trivandrum. And the people of Trivandrum will decide who's in the race and who's not in the race. It's certainly not to colleagues of the India Alliance sitting and having coffee and samosa all the
So
time.
this is the BJP's strongest constituency in Kerala. You've come second twice, but this is your first election. Realistically speaking, how confident are you?
No, I'm extremely confident. I'm extremely confident.
You've
I have never
contributed
come
3
in.
times sitting
Look,
in
I have
government.
never taken on a challenge that I have not succeeded in. Okay, so I'm not about to start now. And I believe in this constituency. I believe in the people of Trivandrum, and I believe that I can make a difference there. And I also believe that the people of Trivandrum have given 3 opportunities to Shashi Tharoor. They've given 1 opportunity to Panyan Ravindran. All 4 opportunities have been dismal flops. And now it's time for them to try out somebody new, give a new face and opportunity. That's me.
Overall in Kerala for the BJP, big push in
I'm not
in
going to
Kerala.
speculate on that. That is something is your job to do. I certainly won't get into that.
Okay. One message to the electorate, final, few hours left. Why should they vote for you rather than somebody who's familiar, somebody they know?
Look, my proposition, and I, with great humbleness and humility, I appeal to the people of Trivandrum. You have given multiple opportunities to the sitting MP. You have given 1 opportunity to the CPI contender Panyan Ravindranji. And you know very well that the last 15-20 years, there has been absolutely no progress in Trivandrum. And all I am asking today, humbly, with great humility, is for me to be given an opportunity to serve you and to implement in the next 5 years the vision that I have laid out for the future of Trivandrum and all the people of Trivandrum. That is my humble request.
Thank you so much, Rajeev
Thank you.
Chandrasekhar. All the very best.
you.
We'll speak again.
Yes.
Of course, on June 4th.
Thank you.
Welcome to a very special edition of Election Plain Speak. We're calling it Coffee with Shashi Tharoor. I'm at a Starbucks in his city in Trivandrum, and Shashi Tharoor, it's very busy days of last few days of campaigning. So thanks a lot for speaking to CNN News 18.
Pleasure. In fact, there are actually only 2 full days of campaigning remaining, because the day before polling is silent day, where you go and visit people at home, but you can't do anything public, and then 26th we vote. Can't come any sooner.
Can't come any sooner. Okay. But tell me one thing. I'm going to just dive in. Would you concede this is one of the toughest fights you have fought from Trivandrum? This is your 4th straight election.
No, my toughest fight was 2014. There was a Modi wave. There was a lot of nasty personal attacks on me during that election campaign following the passing away of my wife. And it was a really tough one. In fact, the result was also very close. 2019 wasn't as tough, and I ended up with a very convincing win, which was an even better margin than I expected. And I must say that 2024 looks much more like 2019 than like 2014.
That's a big statement you're making, because this is, as you conceded recently, the strongest seat of the BJP in Kerala, and they're putting all their might. Your opponent is Rajeev Chandrasekhar.
That's right. So the BJP really doesn't have too many constituencies where they even have a chance. Thiruvananthapuram is the only constituency where they've come second twice in a row. And therefore, obviously, they hope that they can turn that second into a better result at some point. And they've put their best foot forward. As I've been joking, they've been campaigning expensively while I've been campaigning extensively. But I'm not sure the result is going to be what they hope.
You seem very confident.
Yeah.
What is the reason for that confidence?
Well, first of all, because I've been around every nick and corner of the constituency, and I've seen the affection of people, the smiles, the waves, the reactions, which I've now begun to decode over the years. And on top of that, all the journalists who've been interviewing me and who've been around and seen other candidates' campaigns and talked to people have all unanimously, without any exception, told me that they think this is a slam dunk for me.
You want to trust the media and the journalists? They've got it wrong many times.
What they tell you privately is usually more accurate than what they're willing to say publicly.
Right. But in some ways, are you happy that Rajeev Chandrasekhar is your opponent? Because, both of you are like non-politician politicians. He's a technopreneur, you're a former diplomat. But yet, it's been a little bit nasty, your fight with each other.
I've been a bit disappointed by some of the stuff. I mean, for somebody who's barely set foot in Trivandrum in the last 15 years, to come and grandly say this man has done nothing and I will perform, that was a bit irritating to hear, because the fact is that Trivandrum is unrecognizable in the last 15 years, and much of that attributed to issues in which I took a personal, active initiative. And people know that I've just come from a session with the Trivandrum Chamber of Commerce and Industry, where just talking about the various issues that they care about that I've been involved in many cases that I've delivered, was enough to remind them and remind me of how much the city has been transformed, not just during my MPship, but because of initiatives I've undertaken.
I said nastiness because you face a complaint of running a false campaign against Rajeev Chandrasekhar because of some of the allegations that were purported to you.
I mean,
and he's facing a case filed by a Congress worker over his affidavit as well. So it's become pretty
these
legal.
are different issues. Number one, in terms of what I said, I never used his name or his party's name. A journalist said, one's hearing about all of these this money being spent in the coastal belt to influence voters, and I said I've heard the same thing, which I had, and this became an issue that and the Election Commission authority here took the view that any reasonable person would assume this was a reference to him, even though he was not named. Now he's gone and filed a defamation case in both Delhi and Kerala, I understand. So one will contest it because this has been widely talked about, and there are people who have spoken on the record about it. So for me to have heard it, others would have heard it too on television. So all I confirm is I've heard it too. I particularly said no one has said it to me directly. No one has tried to give me any money to vote for BJP. But I've heard it too, is all I said. And that's suddenly become my false campaign. It was not a campaign, it was an answer to a media question in one interview, never said it before or since. And one can produce the tapes of people who've said this on TV in Malayalam and in other places, and press conferences and so on. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm somebody who's always respected the law, always respected the standards of civilized politics, and I'm very happy to defend any case that may come before the courts.
Rajeev Chandrasekhar, as I said, he comes from a tech entrepreneur background. He's been a MOS of skill, IT, he's seen as one of those can-do people, and he's bringing a vision document for Trivandrum. He's talking about SEZs, ports, development, and so on and so forth. Is that not posing a challenge to whatever is Shashi Tharoor's vision?
Unfortunately, that document, I've not read the document, but I've read newspaper accounts of some of the main points. It merely shows his ignorance of the job. For example, AIMS has been offered to Kerala by the BJP government 10 years ago. It still hasn't come. And I point to that as one of the examples of the Modi guarantee being that we will not keep our word. That is the Modi guarantee in Trivandrum. 3 promises made for Kerala and specifically for Trivandrum, all 3 broken. And I pointed to that. Now the gentleman apparently, according to the media, has announced that he's going to establish an AIMS in Neyatingara, which is a rural municipality, some half an hour, 40 minutes from Trivandrum town. And I wish he could, but the problem is only the state government is allowed to decide what the venue will be. I had already had Trivandrum, a different part, Parashala, incorporated in the list of the state government when the Congress was ruling, that was submitted to the BJP government. And I had seen the health minister at the time, and he promised the team to come and inspect these sites. But when the new CPM government came to power in Kerala, they withdrew the list submitted by the Congress-led government and gave a one-city list of Kozhikode alone. Which means that if Mr. Chandrasekhar becomes an MP tomorrow, he is not going to be able to do a darn thing about bringing an AIMS to Trivandrum because the Kozhikode is the venue given by the state government. If tomorrow my party brings a new state government to power, we can perhaps negotiate whether it can be in Trivandrum or Kozhikode or anywhere else. But the fact is, the BJP isn't going to come within sniffing distance of power in Kerala. So he has to understand what an MP's job and role is and what requires the active cooperation and implementation by the state government. Half the things he's recommended require land acquisition, which only the state government can do. And this state government has been notoriously niggardly on land acquisition, largely due to the fact that they've mismanaged the state finances so badly they don't have enough money to do it. So a lot of projects are pending. For example, I've been pushing for the expansion of the airport. 13 acres more needed to expand Trivandrum International Airport. This has been on the anvil for about 8 years at least. And the state government keeps saying yes, but they can't find the money to do it.
So have they been actively blocking you and your work?
It's not a question of they have a different set of priorities from me. But despite that, once a certain commitment has been made to a cause, if the resources can be found, it can be done. with this state government, no resources seem to be available for anything that doesn't involve paying off CPM cadres. I don't find another case against me, folks. I'm just saying that this is the impression that the public also has. And therefore, as far as we're concerned, a lot of things are hanging fire because the state government will not find the resources for it. I have a huge problem in the coastal area because we have massive sea erosion. We're losing. I've written to the Prime Minister saying if a foreign country came and took 6 feet of our land, we'd all be up in arms wanting to fight a war against them. In my Trivandrum constituency alone, in my time as an MP, we've lost 64 square kilometers of beachfront. The coastal area is collapsing because of sea attacks. The water coming in and bashing and I just visited one place today where even the road has disappeared from the coastal area. I've been there before, but I went again to make the point that this requires money. I made the point of spending the very modest MP funds I have. I spent 1.1 crores to construct a seawall in one area to show how it could be done. Doesn't require any high-level technology, doesn't require any sophisticated rocket science. All it needs is some stones or concrete or anything to block the sea. And behind there, the beach has survived. Everywhere else where there is no money, it hasn't. And I've been begging the state government, I've been begging the central government. I've raised the issue with 3 central ministers. I've raised the issue in Parliament multiple times. I've written to the PM. The central government keeps taking refuge in the argument that shoreline protection is the state government's responsibility, not theirs, and they will not contribute. State government keeps saying we have no money. So finally, in response to my goading, literally 3 days or 4 days before the election code of conduct was announced, the state government announced a 346 crore project to safeguard the coastline in my constituency, which will involve sea walls, groins as they're called, G-R-O-Y-N-E-S, which stick out into the sea like this, and fishing harbors, which would help safeguard the entire coastline. But they say of the 346 crores they're proposing, 200 crores has to come from the centre. Now, have they asked the centre for it? Has the centre agreed to give it? Is there money set aside in the budget? No answer. Has even the state government set aside their share of 146 if the centre gives 200? No answer. Now tell me what all these fantasies of my opposing candidate are going to amount to when these realities are what confronts an MP every day.
Okay, well, you're describing actually the frustrations of being an MP and what governance can sometimes look like.
I'm proud of being a good voice for my constituency in and outside Parliament. I've spoken, I think, I hold the record for the most speeches in Parliament about coastal issues and fishermen's problems. Whether it's under the question hour, under 0 hour, under Rule 377, in my budget speech, in raising questions to ministers, I have not let them off the hook.
But can I just ask you, I was speaking to a BJP leader and they said Trivandrum doesn't need a good debater. It needs a good doer. And maybe the BJP's calling card is that they would be in government because according to them,
they're losing this election.
They're losing.
So they're not going to be
according to them, they're coming back for a 3rd term of Narendra Modi. And it's better to have a BJP MP from Trivandrum. Don't you think that would be an interesting
That is the argument they're making. That if you vote for Tharoor, you get an opposition person who can speak well. If you vote for our guy, he's going to be a minister. The sad truth is, number one, that they're not going to get the government. Already the mahal that has started after the first round of voting shows that they're collapsing, even in the Hindi belt, which is fascinating to watch. But apart from that, what is an MP's job? An MP has no executive authority. An MP's job is to actually deliver through his influence, through his oratory, through his conversations with both sets of governments in centre and state, and through his personal influence and connections. I happen to, by sheer fluke, meet Gautam Adani in a line and a queue to board a flight. And that's how I persuaded him to bid for the Vizhinjam port. Now people assume it's a BJP deal because Adani is BJP. BJP was nowhere in the picture. It was the Congress government in the power here, Congress government in power of the centre, and me as the MP from here speaking to Mr. Adani. Listen, that's one example. Second, there's a UAE consulate here. It had nothing to do with either the central government of the Congress or of the BJP. I happen to know the UAE foreign minister rather well, and I persuaded him that with Kerala coming in such large numbers to the UAE, it was unfair. They had to go to other states to get visas. And then when he said, okay, in principle, I agree, there was immediately a lobby from Kochi saying it had to go there. I went to him and said, look, sorry, this is my request, my idea, it should be in my constituency. And he granted it. So, I mean, I know what I've been able to do for this place. There's a passport seva kendra in a rural area in Nayatangara because I knew, I had heard from people they were taking 2 hours by bus to come and stand in a day-long queue for basic passport services. I got that done for them. I brought in 11 central institutions when I was a minister, so I know what a minister can do. But that also depends on your ability to influence other ministries. I would love to see what this gentleman has done in 18 years as an MP for Karnataka. People from Karnataka come here and say that he's done nothing. So I don't know where the performance record comes from. Certainly in the skill development industry, as I pointed out in the budget speech in the Lok Sabha this year, the skill levels of the Indian workforce in 2014 were just 2.3%. Today, after 10 years of BJP rule, it's 2.4%. These are official figures. So in other words, in 10 years, you've got 0.1% improvement in skill development, of which only 25% have got jobs. Of those who've gone up, only 25% trained by the BJP have got jobs. So what kind of skill development is this?
Speaking of socialism and taking care of the downtrodden, you are aware, Shashi Tharoor, that the Congress manifesto for 2024 has come under great scrutiny, particularly by the Prime Minister himself. And in the past, the Congress manifesto has been accused of being akin to what the Muslim League promised at one time. You're in bed with the IUML today in Kerala. But first, on the issue of socialism and wealth and taking care of the downtrodden, Rahul Gandhi wants a financial institution survey after a caste survey that the Congress is promising to see who owns what. And it has triggered fears that the Congress wants to go to some sort of a communist formula of a wealth redistribution.
Have you read the manifesto? I'm a member of the manifesto committee, Shivani. The word Muslim doesn't appear in the manifesto. The word redistribution does not appear.
Minority is a euphemism for Muslims in India. Come on.
I'm sorry, I am in a state where 20% are Christians. So, I mean, there are minorities of various sorts in our country. Let me stress two things. Number one, when we talk about justice in our society, nyaya is the code word. We're talking about helping those who are weak, dispossessed, vulnerable, left out. Don't pretend they don't exist.
But why?
For the last 10 years of BJP rule, 80% of our population has seen their income go down.
No, need to happen. And then a financial institution survey need to happen, and then this justice will come. What does the caste survey have to do with the downtrodden today?
On that issue, I think there will be varying emphases, and of course, I'm sure that policies involving caste will also involve state governments. It's not just a federal matter. But the broad idea is to have an accurate picture. Look, we are a country where so many benefits appear to be geared to caste. So we need to understand better what the picture is. How many people are in what caste and what are their, and the socio-economic aspect is how wealthy are they, etc. I mean, the fact is that everyone has made policy so far slightly in the air, right? So you've talked about X percentage of reservations for OBCs. Do we know how many OBCs there are? Do we know how well off they are? Do we know where they live? Do we know whether they're getting the right entitlements or not? So as long as our system does have entitlements that are based on caste, it seems to be logical that you need to know what the numbers are that you're talking about.
But don't you think the Congress party has a responsibility to explain, now that this has come under scrutiny and we're debating it, which shouldn't be a bad thing, as to whether they mean distribution, redistribution of wealth in a manner that the fear that it invokes, you will take from some who have earned something and distribute it to others that you deem are more worthy. Is that what the path India should take?
Certainly not what I believe and what, as a member of the Manifesto Committee, was ever discussed. All I can say is, if the Prime Minister has made a fairly shameful remark that they're going to take away your family gold and your Mangal Sutra and give it to Muslims. Number one, as I said, there is no word, the word Muslim doesn't occur in the manifesto. Number two, nowhere is this kind of redistribution talked about. Number three, the same Prime Minister said this country has been ruled for 65 years by the Congress repeatedly. Have we ever done this in these 65 years? Have we ever taken away people's wealth and given it to minorities or Muslims in particular? I'm sorry, this is naked communal politics, Shivani. We have to call it out for what it is. And I must say, for the Prime Minister of a country to do this is truly shameful. He is the Prime Minister of all Indians of whatever religion, whatever caste, whatever background, whatever income group. He should not be speaking such polarizing language. It is deeply dismaying and disappointing. I respect the office of Prime Minister, but this is something that is very difficult to take from anyone.
He's saying Manmohan Singh, the Congress Prime Minister, is also on record to say minorities have the first right to India's resources, particularly the Muslims. Now you can contextualize it whichever way you see.
Just listen to the whole speech and you can contextualize it.
No, but the reality is that this is the duality of Indian politics. Congress on one hand is accused of appeasing Muslims to the extent that a lot of your policies are devised only to appease a certain section. You could say it includes other minorities too. But the charge the Congress faces is not that. It
I would
focuses only on
disagree
its Muslim vote
profoundly,
bank.
Shivani. I think the strength of the Congress party is we look at people and we see Indians first. We do not see Indians primarily. That's the way I was brought up by a very nationalist father who belonged to that generation that came of age with independence. My dad turned 18 in 1947. So for him, these values are profound. He dropped his caste name in college because he felt that, again, was not the right thing to do. When I was growing up in Bombay as a child, friends from all over came and played. Never once did he mention anyone's religion or caste, nor my mother. That is, that no one would say, oh, that Muslim boy or that Sikh boy or whatever. It was always the person by his name. We saw people as individuals. Yes, you could imagine somebody was rich, or somebody was a good athlete, or somebody was a good cricketer, or somebody was very good at history and somebody else is very good at math. Those are qualities. But never did that generation believe in bringing children up to see people on the basis of their birth or identity features inherent in matters they couldn't control. To my mind, that is the kind of India the Congress party has built and which we have sustained for 70 years. To me, when I see, it never occurs to me to ask somebody what their caste is. You can't, unfortunately, be oblivious to their religion because it's visible in their name. But otherwise, it has not occurred to me, and it will never occur to me, because that's the kind of Indian I am. And as far as I'm concerned, there are political realities in our country, and particularly there is a tradition of reservations, there's a tradition of, let's put it bluntly, benefits and opportunities that seem to be linked to caste. And at some point when our party says, let's at least do a study that anatomizes this and understand what it's worth, I'd see no harm in getting
But
information.
shouldn't
But
Rahul
even then,
Gandhi
there will be
clarify?
public discussion on policies. Look, when we come to power in June, it's going to be in a coalition. There are going to be other parties. Many parties will have their say and their view. And so if there is a census conducted soon after, the results too will be a matter for discussion. There will be lively debate in Parliament. One of the best things we've seen with coalition governments is that we don't have this kind of top-down decision-making as we've seen in 10 years of BJP rule, where nothing is truly discussed, where the version that comes of a particular bill in Parliament is always the version that passes because no one is given a chance in the ruling party to dissent or express any other views, and where the dissent from the opposition is cheerfully disregarded by the party group majority. In a coalition, you have different parties expressing nuanced views. There'll be real debate in Parliament. People really have to think through issues. And this too will be discussed.
A quick clarification on the other Rahul Gandhi slogan, because you are obviously representing the Congress vision nationally,
Sure.
not just in Kerala.
Sure.
He talks about Jitni Abadi Utna Hak, that everything in society will be determined by what the caste calculations of...
He has not used that slogan for at least a few months.
Why is that? So he said it, but then has gone back on it.
No, it's not that. It's just that slogan can lend itself to misrepresentation, as he understood. And certainly some of us, for example, in the South, are already troubled about the fact that the numbers in the North are likely to skew our system very much against the South. And so we would not be literally willing to translate that statement into policy. Because as far as we're concerned, states have rights which go beyond the numbers in other states or in other parts of the country. Our system is a very complex one, Shivani, and our federal system needs to be safeguarded. Ultimately, whoever rules, BJP or the India Alliance, and I think it's going to be the India Alliance, we need to safeguard the constitutional principle that was so brilliantly crafted 75 years ago to ensure that, number one, the diversity of India is a strength and not a weakness, which sadly the BJP doesn't seem to see it that way. Second, that the federal structure guarantees states that their rights will not be compromised by an overweening center. Third, that Indian unity will be preserved by making everyone feel they have an equal stake in Indian unity. Now, you can't preserve unity if you start destroying the social harmony by making some communities or religious groups feel outsiders, feel second class, feel divorced. That hurts our unity. Then you can't do it by excluding certain states either from your priorities.
But
those are the things that matter, Shiva.
But has Congress done enough to shed its anti-Hindu or pro-Muslim image? I mean, here in Kerala, one of the big issues is that the SDPI is lending support to the Congress party.
We didn't ask for it.
You didn't ask for it, but you're not shunning it either that much.
No, I think as far as I know, the Congress acting president, because the president himself is a candidate, so he ceded this place to another acting president who happens to be a Muslim, M.M. Hassan. He said publicly, look, we don't want the support. We never asked for it, we're not seeking it. every individual voter, whatever his other allegiance may be or her other allegiance may be, is free to vote for the party of their choice. So if some individuals who happen to like the SDPI but discover there is no SDPI candidate to vote for and the SDPI wants you to vote for the Congress, they vote for the Congress. Why should we deny an individual their democratic right to vote for the party of their choice? That's a different matter, but we have not sought in any way the support of these parties. Look, Shivani, these are sort of classic BJP cliches. And you've got to understand that politics is far more complex than that. For example, here in Trivandrum, I am being attacked from the left as being quote-unquote anti-Muslim, which is the most absurd thing for a Congress MP, but it's also absurd in terms of my own track record, including my debates in Parliament. But you know, sometimes campaigners deliberately capitalize on what they assume is the ignorance of the voters. And they underestimate the Kerala voter at their peril, things, and can be corrected. But sadly, we have a very peculiar situation where the left is spending all its time attacking not the BJP, whom they're trying apparently to dislodge from power, but the Congress, which is trying the same thing.
Because they're very irked with you, and particularly Rahul Gandhi for coming here and fighting a second election from Rahul Gandhi.
Look,
from
there is absolutely no law. If they're going to be irked with Rahul Gandhi for fighting Vayana, first of all, he's a sitting MP, he has every right to defend his seat. Then, by that logic, I should be irked with them when I am the one congressman who's had to stave off a BJP challenge twice in a row. I should be very irked with them that they're putting up a challenger against me, and what's more, their parties are spending all their time attacking me. I mean, if they were attacking the BJP in the same breath, at least that would be a consolation. They don't mention the BJP at all. It's all attacking me. So, I mean, honestly, one wonders whose game they're playing. Because if the idea is that they want to get all the Muslim votes away from me to their candidate, even then that candidate cannot defeat me. But he can presumably make it easy for the BJP candidate to defeat me. So it's a peculiar kind of logic. Anyway, I'm not worried. As I say, our ground reality is that I'm going to win anyway. But looking at all this, it shows you the complexity of our politics, and it's something that we can laugh about one day, but it's something that people should realize. We don't have a very simple, straightforward, black or white ideological politics as other countries, other democracies are lucky to have.
Well, you could say that again. That's certainly a reality, but you're confident about your win from Trivandrum?
Yeah.
How many seats for the Congress party overall?
Well, the Congress is only contesting 16. 4 have been given to allies. I think we'll win all 16 and the allies will win all 4. So we're looking at 20.
And you're predicting a coalition government led by the India Alliance at the center?
Absolutely no doubt about that, judging by what we're picking up after the first votes. I mean, what's very interesting is exit polls are not published, but people talk after voting. And there is no doubt where the Mahal is. The Mahal right now coming not only from Tamil Nadu, which went to the polls, where people are even rashly talking about 40 seats for the DMK-led alliance, of which we are a part. We have 9 seats we're contesting. We're going to win them all, according to everyone. We're hearing very positive feedback from those districts of Rajasthan, UP, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh that also voted. So it's quite amazing. No one, I think, saw this coming. Everyone, especially in the commentariat, assumed this is an easy deal for the BJP.
You don't think that it's a done deal at all?
Not at all, because I think where the BJP miscalculated is 2014 they won on an economic development platform. 2018 they won on a national security platform, Pulwama Balakot, tough guy, 56 in chest. 2024 they were going to try and win on a Hindu Hriday Samrat thing, Ram Janmabhoomi, Abu Dhabi temple, all of that stuff. They miscalculated there because the impact of that has worn off. And people are once again beginning to think, well, I voted for this government because I thought they were going to give me a job. 10 years later, I still don't have a job. Why do I vote for them again? Somebody else says, I used to go to buy this at the market a couple of years ago. I can no longer afford to buy it. Why do I vote for these guys? People are being reminded that elections are about their self-interest, that it's about the government's responsibility is not to go and do pran pratishas at temples. The government's responsibility is the welfare of the Aam Aadmi. And this has suffered terribly in the course of 10 years of BJP rule. We have the highest levels of unemployment in this country. One of the highest levels of youth unemployment in the world. We have highest levels of educated unemployed in the world. And we have inflation which in world terms may not be record shattering, but in India terms, very, very price sensitive nation. That bottom 80% whose income has gone down in the last 10 years, they are literally feeling the pinch.
Okay.
Only the top 20% has benefited. So when you look at all of this, Shivani, I can see why the BJP is in serious trouble. Now, of course, there are, thanks to this extraordinary election schedule, there are
6
7
more phases
weeks
to
to
go.
go. So the picture may evolve, but it's going to be a very uphill task for them because the picture could also get worse for them.
We will chat again with Shashi Tharoor on not just his result on after April 26 voting in Trivandrum, which will come on June 4, but on the national picture as well.
Sure.
Thank you so much for giving us your time.
My pleasure.
An unprecedented and historic election. A vote that decides Bharat's quest for greatness.
A mandate that paves the way for 1 billion aspirations.
A verdict the world is watching closely.
A battle for a rising Bharat's glorious future.
Battle for Bharat. Elections equals CNN News 18.
मेरे एक वोट से
unprecedented and historic election.
A vote that decides Bharat's quest for greatness.
A mandate that paves the way for 1 billion aspirations.
A verdict the world is watching closely.
A battle for a rising Bharat's glorious future.
Battle for Bharat. Elections equals CNN News 18.
मेरे एक वोट
An unprecedented and historic election.
A vote that decides Bharat's quest for greatness.
A mandate that paves the way for 1 billion aspirations.
A verdict the world is watching closely.
A battle for a rising Bharat's glorious future.
Battle for Bharat. Elections equals CNN News 18.
अरे कहाँ जा
An unprecedented and historic election.
A vote that decides Bharat's quest for greatness.
A mandate that paves the way for 1 billion aspirations.
A verdict the world is watching closely.
A battle for a rising Bharat's glorious future.
Battle for Bharat. Elections equals CNN News 18.
Co-powered by Viewers, Prime Minister Modi is determined to paint the Congress into a corner, a communal anti-Hindu corner at that. In election speech after speech, he claims to have unearthed a Congress conspiracy to institutionalize legal discrimination against Hindus if it is voted to power. The Prime Minister believes this conspiracy is hard-coded into the clauses of the Congress Party manifesto for 2024. Modi alleges that the manifesto in its present form commits itself to affirmative action that will lead to the Balkanization of India, as the document has the, quote, imprint of the Muslim League, unquote, upon it. Of course, the Muslim League the Prime Minister is invoking refers